That I did not. Money in the bag to look like we trash. I want to play with pelicans from here to Baghdad. All right, we are live. Hey, y'all. Welcome, welcome. We over here jamming to some Fugees. Who remembers the Fugees? I had to throw it back this Thursday, okay? Usually I come on with my little cute jazz music, but I had to throw in some Fugees, okay? Ready or not. Do y'all remember this jam?
Yes, girl,
Patricia. Yes, this used to be the jam. I'm not gonna date myself, but this used to be the jam, okay? But ready or not, y'all, Mother's Day is coming, okay? So I had to cue that up because Mother's Day is coming. And so I hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all are ready to celebrate some of the most amazing women in your life. I hope that y'all are ready to celebrate. Look, I hope y'all ready for moms that are about to just celebrate themselves. Because that's the kind of year it has been, where we're not gonna wait for other people to celebrate us. I have a feeling that moms are going to be out in the streets just celebrating themselves this year because we deserve it, right? We deserve it. So listen, I'm excited to have you guys. Y'all know I'm always excited about being here with you every Thursday to share time and space with you. And I appreciate you always coming and sharing time and space with me because I know you don't have to. I know that you have other things to do. Before we jump in to this special episode today, I do want to just take a moment for those of you who are new to the Eventful Life TV. I am your host, Janelle Boyd. I am the founder of the Eventful Life Enterprises. I am also a mompreneur. I'm an event producer. I am a speaker, an author, but most recently, I have been called an instigator, because I will challenge you to think a little bit differently about things, okay? I want you to go out here and live your very best and most full life. And I think sometimes in order for us to do that and to get free, we have to think about things a little differently. And so with that, the Eventful Life TV is all about bringing you mompreneurs, women entrepreneurs, who are sharing their triumphs, their challenges, but most importantly, they're sharing it authentically. They're sharing it with my audience and with you guys, because honestly, guys, we all experience a lot of things that are very similar as women, as moms, as entrepreneurs, but oftentimes it's the shame and the doubt and the fear that keep us from sharing it out loud, right? We know what goes on within our own four walls of ourselves, but we don't normally share it out loud. So that is why I bring these amazing women to you every week, and they continue to just show up and show out with the stories that they share. So today we are doing a special edition. As you guys know, I already said we're getting ready for Mother's Day. And so I thought, you know what better way to honor Mother's Day than bringing you someone who I feel is like momming it out here. I mean, like, I don't know if y'all can see, but I got my mom-ish shirt on right now. Okay, shout out to Kalex out there, because that's her jam. But she is like momming it. So I just told her before we went live, I said, you know what, you know how sometimes when you get into situations, you like, okay, WWWJD, okay, what would Jesus do? Well, I instead, when I'm in a mom situation and I'm like, okay, what would Charlotte do? Because when you have raised 7 kids, okay, I am pretty sure you have probably experienced everything that you possibly could as a mom. So I am excited to have you, Charlotte. Charlotte is coined the Family Strategist, which I think is so dope, first of all. And she also, like I said before, is a mommy to 7 adorable kids. She is a wife to 1, And she is here to share her story with us and just give a little bit of her time. So, hey, Charlotte, hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey.
So much for saying yes. Look, I know if anybody I've had on this show, listen, I know there is something else that you could be doing right now. So so I appreciate you, again, saying yes and being willing to come on here and share with us today as we kind of dive into this conversation around women and moms as we, get ready for Mother's Day.
Well, thank you so much, Janelle, for having me. I was just so excited when I got your invitation. I think the conversation, well, I don't even think, I know the conversation that we're going to have today is going to be absolutely amazing because you know me, like, you know how I get down. So,
Yes, yes,
you
she
know,
does not hold back.
I only know how to be myself, which is why I'm being Charlotte Avery. And yeah, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you. You're right. I am a wife of one, mom of seven, owner of no pets because I raised too many other nouns in my life. And, I'm an author of several books. My newest children's book, Afro Izzy, is about one of my children who's never had a haircut. His hair is so big.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yes, yes. And just so your audience knows, because, you invited me to hang out with you and your audience.
Yeah.
Because, people always ask me the questions, are they all yours? Did you birth them? Are y'all a blended family? So let's just set the record straight. They are all mine. They are ages 7 to 17. I birthed them out of this whole body.
Yes. And you gotta take ownership of all that, okay? And what are the ages of the kids, just to give context?
All right. So my oldest, I have a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, soon to be 13-year-old, 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Wow.
Yes, and I birthed all of them in less than 10 years. So people who are like, and by the way, I was 30 when I had my first child. So for all of y'all talking about, girl, my clock is ticking and I need to, when God says it's time, you're going to have some babies. Okay. Right. So anyway.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So tell me, how did you get to being coined the family strategist? I love that that you have coined that phrase, because it makes me think about the fact that we have strategy in business, right? And we have strategy in a lot of other areas of our life, but when we think about family, I don't hear those two words connected a lot. So I want to, walk through, how did that come to be?
Well, that's a really good question. So here's the deal. Like, by the time I had 4.5 children, meaning I had 4 and I was
4.5.
Yeah, and meaning I had 4 and I was pregnant with 1. People would always ask me, Charlotte, how do you do what you do? How do you have an amazing marriage? How do you, have children who are so mannerable? How did you potty train your kids? Like, having boys and girls, like who's harder to potty train, boys or girls?
Lord knows.
In dealing with sibling issues and discipline issues and marriage and date night issues and so many things, how, and then, I was starting to grow a business and, this was actually before, I was doing TV and other things like that. And, and I was like, I just have a lot of strategies for how I do things. And people would be always asking me for strategy, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Yeah. And that's actually how people outside of me made me become the family strategist, because they were always asking me for a strategy of how I was doing what I was doing.
Things,
right. And so, I was able to take my experiences and even apply some of the things that I learned in college that, I don't use that stuff anymore, but, I had to reinvent myself, but that's like a whole other conversation. But, just taking things that I had learned over time and also being a truth teller and saying, you know what, this is the real deal. This is how it's
not
really going
glamorizing.
down.
Yeah.
You know, and that's actually how I became the family strategist, because people were always asking me for strategy of how I was doing things. And so,
good.
And let me just say, like, no matter how many children you have, whether you're a mom of 1 or 2 or 7 or 13 kids, like, you have to have strategy. Like, everything in our house is a strategy. Dinner is a strategy. You know, if you come to my house, like, we have signs like posted in the kitchen of what's going to be for dinner Monday through Friday, you know, Monday through Friday, because my husband usually takes care of Saturday and Sunday. You know, I mean, homework is a strategy. Computer time is a strategy. Taking kids to activities is a strategy. You know, even having the right support system is a strategy. Because let me just tell you, all support systems are not created equal.
Ooh, come on
now.
That's so good.
So, you know, you have to have your strategy and your people in place that are going to help you, you know, make your marriage and your family and your business a well-oiled machine. Because Janelle, you know this, like, when you're a wife and a mom and you're growing a business, it's teamwork really does make the dream work. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just you, it's who's helping you to grow and evolve and build all of that, while you're still trying to, you know, be an amazing wife and mom to your children, because it's family that comes first. So.
Yes, absolutely. No, I love the fact that you pointed out that there is strategy in everything, you know, because I'm a big strategy person. Like, I feel very similarly. I subscribe to the fact that we need to have strategy in life and we need to have strategy in business. Like, there is no space in between, you know. And so I love the fact that you outline those different things, you know, just from homework to dinner to, you know, like you said, your community, your village, because that's so important and so true if you want to make things work. You know,
it's a strategy. I mean, just to like make it like really, you know, to what we're talking about now, it's a strategy. It was a strategy that I had to put in place just for us to be able to dialogue and share time and space together today. You know, like, I had to tell my children, listen, at this time, because they're virtual schooling right now. So I had to let them know, like, yesterday, tomorrow at this particular time, mommy is doing this. This is who is in charge. You know, God forbid the phones don't ring, but if the phone rings, who's in charge of answering the phone? And all of these different things, you know, and, you know, some people are out there making lunch right now, but you guys can't be making noise and doing stuff while I'm spending time with Miss Janelle. And, you know, everything is a strategy, because they're also, my children are also a part of the team that makes the dream work.
That's right. You know, when people are like, well, how do you keep your kids so quiet? I'm like, because they have learned. Like, it's been practiced. You know, absolutely. But you're absolutely right. It also, I also love the fact that you have peeled back the layers a little bit for people to see how much goes into you making the decision to say yes to something, right? Because I think that oftentimes, especially when it comes to women who have families and wear many different hats, that it is taken for granted when they say yes, or it is quote unquote poo-pooed when they say no, right? Because it's like, well, you know, why would they say no to me? Or why is it that they're saying no to this opportunity, or saying no to help me out? But there's a calculation that has to happen in our heads of all those things that you just mentioned, right? Like, okay, the kids are gonna have to do that, and I'm gonna have to make sure the husband knows to do that, and I'm gonna have to make sure that somebody's got that. All the calculation of the things that have to be done, you say yes, it has to make sense.
Yes, it does. It has to make sense, and it has to be intentional. And what I have learned over time, because I just thought about the fact that I've been actually growing. I mean, I've been a mom for 17 years, but in the process, you know, I've been growing a business and a brand in the process. And I've been working for myself now. I just thought about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been working for myself now for almost 12 years. But when you're a mom and you're a wife and you're choosing to be a wife, and you're choosing to be a mom, and you're choosing to be a business owner, you're choosing to add things to your plate.
This is true.
In choosing to do that, when people start wanting you to show up for them, when they want you to start showing up for interviews, my attitude is this: if you don't understand and can't understand the dynamics of my life, and the fact that I have to be scheduled and things have to be a well-oiled machine, then that means that if I say no, it doesn't mean I'm saying no forever. It just means I can't do that right now because the way my life is set up.
Yes.
This is the thing. I used to feel bad. I used to feel bad if somebody called me and said, well, Charlotte, can you do a segment or whatever? And I'd be like, I mean, I really wanted to do it, but then I realized the amount of stress that it put on me to finagle this and that and all of that when it wasn't a timely manner. And my thing is, you know what? Every opportunity that God has for me is not going to be something that's going to make me negate anything that I value.
That's so good.
And so being able to say no, I mean, like and sometimes you just need to say no.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to show people that you're not going to be their beck and call girl.
Right. Like too accessible, right? Like too accessible. But no, I love that. And I totally agree with you. It's one of the areas that I, have previously been challenged by. I was previously challenged with the fact that, I did want to say yes all the time, and had not made that shift to understand that, hey, everything doesn't, warrant a yes. And as you said, there is value attached to the things that if you say this yes, you got to make sure that, it's not going to cause, disruption and, disharmony because you said yes to something that maybe you probably shouldn't have, right?
All of that.
So I love that you have said that, Charlotte, because I bet that there are a lot of women out there who are probably shaking their heads right now like, yeah, that sounds really, really familiar. And it also kind of segues into my next question for you, which is, we have this terminology, right? Superwoman syndrome. And, a lot of women, especially overachieving women out there, or even not just overachieving, moms, I'm sure you have heard the term or you have used it in your own vernacular, just as you start to look at how you are doing all the things, right? And so, have you found yourself in that place before, especially as you have, shifted into different phases with raising your kids, where you are, out here taking on the whole world and saving babies and fighting crime. And, and it's like, when did this happen? Because all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, I'm doing a whole lot. And absolutely. I don't know that I am getting out of it as much as all that I am putting in. And the more important part was, who asked me to do all of this?
Absolutely. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. I have been there. I have done that. And sometimes even in my current, situation, I sometimes see myself going back into that space. If I didn't tell that truth, I would be lying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so yes, I have been there. I've done that. And I think really what it comes from is the expectations that we, and the paradigm. It's expectations and paradigm. It's the, how you define yourself as a mom. Which means, okay, some women define themselves as a great mom, saying, okay, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do laundry. I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. I'm going to change diapers. I'm going to take people to activities. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do as far as meeting my children's needs, my husband's needs, and while sacrificing myself.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is that what I had to realize for myself is nobody told me that I should sacrifice myself. It was the outside influences and expectations that I had, but all, and the people that I saw and the women, who I felt like, especially when I decided that I was going to come home and not be, in the workforce outside of my house.
Right.
Then I just kind of felt like I was obligated.
Right.
I was obligated to do these things because I didn't want to be, Peg Bundy, feeling like I didn't want people, the opinions of people, to view me as though I was this housewife that was sitting on the couch, eating bonbons and, waiting for Rod to come home and still shower me with all of these things, right? And first of all, let's just be real. When you have 7 kids, you're not doing any of that. That's a straight no. Okay. Right. So let's just get that straight. But anyway,
going to clear that up.
Yes. But anyway, and then, looking at other people's households and the way that I thought everything looked so perfect in their house.
From the outside looking in.
And not really from what it really was, because, everybody doesn't tell the truth about the chaos and foolishness that goes on inside those walls, right?
Absolutely.
And so for me, what really did it for me is the day when I felt like I was just going to go straight loco and lose it. Yeah. And I was like, everything and everybody better get out the way, because this mothership is about to explode.
Oh no. She's like, it is time. It's set off.
And I was tired and I was exhausted, and everything that I did reflected that. Every word that came out of my mouth reflected it. My attitude, my body language, my behavior, which is one reason why I wrote the 40-day tone of voice tone down, because I'm a recovering yeller, and so I was just like, okay, why do I feel like that? And it was because I was overwhelmed. Right. And so in my work, I find joy in creating strategies that take women from overwhelmed to overjoyed in marriage, motherhood, in the marketplace.
That's so good.
And so instead of doing the balance, because people say, well, Charlotte, how do you balance it all? I don't balance my life. I don't balance my life. I blend my life. Because anytime you balance something, balance means you're giving equal weight to everything.
And that's not
in motherhood and in real life, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So stop putting that pressure on yourself to be perfect. There's nothing perfect in motherhood. If things were perfect in motherhood, then both of our boobs would be the same size, and they're
not. No, she didn't. That's so good. Hello. And you know what? That is such a good example, because I never thought about that. It's true. But you're right, though. It's not about, it's not balance. And I've even used the term, priorities. Like, you're going to have certain priorities at different moments throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the year. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what blending is about. Blending is about saying, you know what, I'm not choosing to put the same amount of ingredients in the blender today. It's whatever has the highest priority is what gets put in the blender first.
Yeah.
And that's the amount of time that I spend on something. So for instance, there are days where my blender looks like I have to spend more time on my business than I'm probably spending with my children, but there's a strategy for that. There's a communication that goes along with that. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, today I'm spending more time with my husband because I want to stay in love and married with him than I am with my children. And some days I'm spending more time with my children than I am with my husband because I'm their mom. It's, and then, it's the spiritual part of it. It is the, how I'm spending time and refilling myself and rejuvenating myself, spiritually and emotionally and all of these different things. Yeah. And so that's what blending is about. Blending is about priority. It's not about balance, because guess what? The blender will look different tomorrow.
That's right. Depending on the day, the time, the week, it's
not about the to-do list. It's not about the to-do list.
That's good. That's good.
Because when you make to-do lists, it's like, well, what I didn't do today, I got to add to the to-do list tomorrow. And I'm like, the devil, this is a lie. I didn't do that today. It wasn't a priority today. And it just might not be a priority tomorrow.
That's right. And it relieves the self-inflicted stress that we put on ourselves, because a lot of it is self-inflicted.
Yes.
It is us saying, putting this additional weight on ourselves because of whatever, because of what we see, like you said, outside influences. And I also want to take the audience back to something that you said that I thought was actually really golden, which is that it changes when you are overwhelmed and overworked and stressed. It takes over every part of who you are and causes you to show up differently. I love that you said it came out in how you talked and how you interacted and the words you use, like it because it takes over, and you're not even your best self. Like you're not even close to your best self.
I'm the self that I don't even like.
Right.
I'm the self.
I don't even want to spend time with me.
Right. I don't even want to deal with this person right here. Right. I'm dehydrated. My face is breaking out. I'm not happy. I'm miserable. These lines that you see right now, like my face looks like this all the time. I'm slamming doors and doing whatever because, I'm mad that somebody didn't do something and I'm feeling like I have to do it all the time. And it's like, why? Right. You know what? Our job as mothers is to raise people to be self-sufficient outside of us. So there's a season in life when we will be doing everything for our children. And then there's a season of life when you teach your children to do things for themselves.
Yeah.
Period.
That's right.
The end. And that's then you get to relieve yourself from some of those responsibilities, right?
Yes.
But the thing is that
there are seasons of different of how involved or in the way in which you need to be involved too.
Right. And then there's a reality that you need to have when you're growing, when you've decided to be a wife and a mom and growing a business. There are ebbs and flows to this thing.
Yeah.
Not only are there levels, but there's ebbs and flows. Every time I thought I was like on a really good upswing and growing my business, I was pregnant again.
Oh Lord.
You know what I'm saying? Every time I was getting ready to like seriously, every time I was getting ready to think, oh, I've got a really great marketing strategy to release this new book, I was pregnant again. And now I'm tired and I'm worn out and, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so you have to deal with the ebbs and flows that come with saying, you know what, it's priority. Yeah. It's prioritizing. It's, yes, I was on this upswing. I've got to deal with this pause. Yeah. But the thing is that slow and steady wins the race. It's not that you quit. Yeah. It's that slow and steady wins the race.
I love that, slow and steady. And I think recognizing that your bandwidth, right, or your capacity, like you said, okay, I found out I'm pregnant. So my bandwidth has now went from here to here, right? And you have to make the adjustment. Like, I feel like, I can honestly say, when I got pregnant with both of my sons, I never made that adjustment, in my mind, hey girl, you about to have a whole human being. Like, you cannot go at the same pace, same pace or same speed as you did prior to with no kids, and that's such a huge truth that we have to settle with. I mean, not settle, but be okay with. Be okay with that and not see it as something that is negative or, something's wrong with it, like a defect, right? So I think that is so huge. And I know, again, a lot of women struggle with that because they see it as, oh, something's wrong with me. And of course, we're comparing ourselves to people who don't have kids, right?
Why do we do that? Why? Why do we, you didn't even birth, nothing grew inside of you. Why am I comparing all of this to you? No, ma'am. I'm so over it. And I'm so over the inadequacy that we place on ourselves.
Yes.
We do all of these things because we're so busy comparing and things like that and wanting to feel validated when validation is for parking. We don't need anybody to validate our dreams or anything like that and validate who we are. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay.
Just as we are.
Yes, and we are marvelous.
Yes.
Okay. And
And,
I mean, marvelous.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like you make the transition from, you know, being Superwoman. And that's why I kind of, titled our conversation that way, from being Superwoman to a Superwoman, because
Yes.
I believe, like you said, we are marvelous. Like I'm often amazed at the things that we can accomplish, given that we're a lot of times, multitasking, a lot of times wearing many different hats. But I'm amazed at the things that we can accomplish and the things that we are able to do and strive for and how we make it happen. I mean, it should be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? It
Absolutely.
should be celebrated. And I think the other part, and I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about this, is, even just how in the larger universe, how our story has started to shift, the way in which our story is told. Because, it always used to be well, mama sacrificed everything so that I could have, and so that I could do. And I remember seeing her doing everything. And now I feel like we're slowly kind of getting to the place where it's, yeah, mom rocked it, but she rocked it well. And she was, yes, she was giving her all and doing her all, but it wasn't like she was tired and worn out, and so that's why I got to go buy her this house, because she was tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
Right.
yeah, she's still doing it,
Right.
but I believe that we are now defining what that doing it looks like.
Yes, like, so you're like all into like my book that I'm currently writing right now, but I can't tell you about it just yet.
Girl, look, these books.
But listen, but here's the thing. You can't be a superwoman with a cape when you're not a superwoman and you're not taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Superwomen understand the importance of taking care of themselves. Yeah. Superwomen understand the fact that there is no taking care of you if I'm not taking care of me.
Yeah.
See, that's the things that we didn't see, our generation. And, we didn't see that lived out in front of us. So everything that we saw was the grind and the thrive, I mean, the grind and the striving, striving for something, you know what I'm saying? It's the, you don't want to just strive, you want to thrive. Right. And you cannot do that if you are not taking care of you. And so my thing is, and I tell women this all the time, my clients cannot work with me until they agree to spend 1 hour a week doing something for themselves. Here, and I want your audience to hear me good. There are 168 hours in a week.
Yeah.
If you can't find 1 hour in that week to do something that is only for yourself, that brings you joy, it has nothing to do with your children, it has nothing to do with your spouse, it has everything to do with you. I don't care if it's taking a class, a photography class, a guitar class, an art class. I don't care if it's locking your door and going and soaking in the bathtub for an hour. You owe it to yourself and to them.
Yes.
To do something for you that fulfills you so that you can be a better you. Yeah. That's how you become a superwoman, because we as mothers are the thermostat in the house. We are the temperature gauge. Yeah. And if we're off, everything's going to be off.
Everything is off. Yes, yes. I love that.
And I'm not of that perspective of happy wife, happy life. I'm of the perspective of happy spouse, happy house. But when you don't have a spouse, because some women are single mothers, right? Right. But the thing is that you have to find that space, even as a single mother. Yeah. To say, you know what? And you have to know when to say when. Yeah. You have to know when to say, I mean, who said that you had to take your kids to gymnastics, karate, art class, and piano? Right. Are you doing that because it's making you feel like you're a better person because you have now overscheduled your kid? Yeah. Which means now you've overscheduled yourself. Which means now you have more gray hair and now you're more exhausted. Right. Like, who told you you had to do that?
Right. Oh my goodness. But no, that is so spot on, right? Who told you that? Exactly.
Right.
Just like I've had moments where I said, okay, you fussing because you're doing all of this and that, but who asked you to do that,
Who
right?
did?
Like who? And
Right.
so sometimes we have to gracefully tap out and bow out and say, girl, not today. Like, not today.
How about not
Nobody
ever
asked you
again?
to, right?
How about not ever again? Like not
Right,
today, not ever again, because this is
right,
not working for us. It's not
right.
working for me, which means it's really not working
Not
well
working.
for you.
That's right. I love it. I love it. But that is so good, Charlotte. That's so good. And obviously I'm sure it resonates with my audience out there because I talk a lot about, your morning intention, making sure you start your day with you, because I
Yes,
believe that so firmly that everything shifts and can change when you are intentional about starting that day with you, or at least making sure that you are a part of your day.
absolutely.
It's a game changer. It really is. I've witnessed it, myself just over these last couple years. So thank you for sharing that. So as we are closing out, because our time always goes by super duper fast, I want you to leave the audience with one piece of advice. If they are still out there trying to, if we have women out there, mompreneurs out there who are still trying to find themselves, they're still trying to work through, how do I got my kids, I'm trying to make stuff happen around the house. I'm trying to get this business started, but I just feel like I'm losing myself in the midst of all of this. So what's one piece of advice that you would leave with them? And then we're going to jump into our rapid fire questions.
So my advice for women who feel like they've lost themselves is, go back and have some time with yourself and ask yourself, where was your first love before you became a wife and a mom? What were the things that you were doing that, you decided that you needed to give up because now you're a wife and a mom? When people are like, oh, I just feel like I lost myself, I'm like, well, how'd you get in the lost and found? Like, usually it's because we chose to put ourselves there.
Right.
You've got to remember those
Yeah.
things that were so great and wonderful and amazing to you that you were
Yeah.
doing, that you really found joy and fulfillment in before you became a wife and a mom. And usually it's going to be those things that are going to lead you right out of the lost and found for you to be able to say, aha, there
That's
it is.
it. Yeah.
Not only is it there it is, but there I am.
Right. Yes. Yes. There I am. I love that. We're going to leave it at that. There I am. Y'all say it with me. There I am. Okay. So, okay, Charlotte, you ready? We're going to do the rapid fire 5 questions. I don't ever tell you guys, no, I don't ever tell my guests what the questions are. So they just have to say whatever comes on top of their head. All right. And I'm not responsible for whatever is said. So here we go. Number 1, what do you like to do for fun?
I love eating funnel cake and candy apples.
Oh, yes. Come on, funnel cake. All right, number 2, what's one stereotype about moms, women that drives you bananas?
Oh my gosh. So one thing that drives me bananas, oh man, that's a really good question. Like what?
I know.
I think the tiger mom thing, that moms are so emotional and they don't, that we can't like get it together and stuff like
Right.
that. I'm
Yeah.
not driven so much by emotions as I am by facts. So I'm not like that average emotional mom.
That's good.
But that's learned behavior also,
Right. As I was saying,
I've learned to be like that over time.
Over time.
Because trust, I have tiger mommed it. Don't worry. Okay, anyway.
Depending on the day, the time, the hour.
Yes.
Who is your BFF in your head?
In my head, my BFF is Beyonce.
Ooh, okay, Sasha Fierce. I like it.
Yes.
What do you dream of becoming?
I dream of becoming a talk show host.
Oh, I could see that, Charlotte. I love it. Okay. Listen, let me know when it happens.
And a comedian.
I can see that too.
I want to do, can I just say, I want to do stand-up so bad. Like,
really?
yes, I would, because I think I am really funny. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. Like, I think I'm really funny, and I spend a lot of time laughing at myself and my own foolishness. And so I think that I could bring so much joy to other people's lives if they can experience all of this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But anyway, go on.
Oh. I love it. Listen, well, I will watch both the comedy and the talk show. Okay. Favorite song and why?
Oh, September.
Oh, that's a good
Earth, Wind, and
one.
Fire. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm Every Woman.
Oh, yes.
By
okay.
the Shaka Khan
version. Two different vibes. Yeah.
It has to be the Shaka Khan version.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. We can't leave out Shaka. Like she makes
it has to be the Shaka Khan version.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the Super Bowl thing that she did, but you know. Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, that was so good. You did good. You did good. Oh my goodness. Let me give you a round of applause. You did good.
Thank you.
Listen, let the audience know, how can they stay in touch with you? How can they find you? Where can they find you? Let them know.
All right, so you can find me at all things Being Charlotte Avery, because clearly I only know how to be myself. So Being Charlotte Avery on Facebook and on Instagram, and Being Charlotte A on Twitter, because Avery wouldn't all fit. And then on LinkedIn, it's Charlotte E. Avery. And that's where they can find me. Also, they can find my products and my resources and learn more about me at beingcharlotteavery.com.
Yes. Because who else would you want to be but Charlotte?
No one.
I love it. I love it. Charlotte, thank you so much. This was so good, girl.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
This was totally a Mother's Day worthy conversation.
Thank you for having me. This is like the best adult conversation I know I will have all day.
Right. No, see, that's what happens when we get a chance to not just talk to our kids. I love it. So thank you. Listen, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. You know, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you guys coming and joining me each and every week. Keep the feedback coming. Listen, if you know a mom, you know a mompreneur, a woman who needs to hear this, gift her with this conversation for Mother's Day. Share this with her. If she needs some laughs, if she needs some joy, share this conversation and make sure you subscribe as well, okay? Listen, happy Mother's Day. Happy early Mother's Day to all my mamas out there. I love y'all so much. Keep doing what you do, because you are worthy and you are loved. And I will see you next week. Remember, you can have it all, but it has to be on your terms and your time. All right, bye y'all. Have a good one.